Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Cynthia Clark, palm reading consultant and intuitive life coach. You can find me over at Palmistry World or soulmate.support or cynthia-clark.com. And this is something I just wanted to address with you. I felt like it was important enough to talk about. It's a question that I get a lot, especially for um, what people think of as palm reading. A lot of people think that their future is set through their hands, and this simply is, I want to point out that it's a disempowering way to think about palm reading because it's taking away your free will. So, when you think about, uh, you know, yes, you can see the future in your palms. Okay, the lines in your hand actually do change over time, and they will show past, present, and future on both hands actually all the time. But these lines are changeable, and because they are changeable, they will reflect the choices that you make in your life. So, a better question to ask would be, what can I do in my life right now to create the future that I desire, to be in alignment with my higher self and my full potential? So, when you ask the question that way, it opens up a whole doorway for you to actually use the palms as the tool to get you to where you want to go. So, yes, you can see future aspects through the hands, and a lot of people do give predictions, and I can give predictions as well, but I use them very carefully because the whole point is to not take away the person's free will choices. Okay, so when you are empowered instead, you will use the hands as your roadmap to success, your roadmap to joy, your roadmap to fulfillment, showing you the highest aspects that you can express through your personality archetypes, through your soul's purpose, through your tendencies, your natural abilities. Okay, you've got talent markers in your hands. How can those be expressed? So I love to point those types of things out for people to guide them and really direct them. And as far as seeing the future, you can see the changes through your decisions. So I wanted to give you a quick peek at a time-lapse reading of my own hands over a 9-year span. So let's have a look and see what's happened for me in the last 9 years and how that showed up in my palms. Okay, so here are my handprints. From the one on the left is actually from September of 2009, and the one on the right is from July 2018. So you can see that there are some differences. So I'll try to point out a couple of things that just stick out to me, but I definitely want to show you how the hands can change. Okay, so the first thing that I notice is just that my thumb looks quite a bit better. You could say better printed, or it just looks more dominant. This represents my willpower. The thumb is the willpower. So the stronger the thumb is, the more capacity you have for achieving results. So I would say that over the last 9 years, this has definitely improved in my hands. And I would agree with that also in my life. You can see that the little finger here actually kind of double printed, which is interesting because I view printings as the hand is really trying to express something, even if you think it's a mistake. It's actually not a mistake.
I don't believe in mistakes or coincidences. Okay, so there are no bad prints. Okay, so in this case, Mercury represents communications. And this shows a time in my life when I probably had some confusion and some, I was still trying to figure things out. I was still trying to gather up information and find a way to use it in a useful way. Whereas over here, you can see much clearer in the printing and very straight as well. So that's a good solid Mercury finger. Okay, so let's see what else is going on here. We've got just overall a lot clearer in the heart line. Okay, that's my emotional line, and that's showing just good flow, like I'm able to express myself more in the emotional realm. Over here, back in 2009, it looks like I was holding back a little bit and had some trouble with it, and definitely there was some pain. The pain is still showing up here in the new print because, a lot of times, especially emotional pain, is going to stay with us in some capacity throughout our lives. But we'll keep an eye on it, and who knows, maybe it'll clear up even more as we go through. Another thing that I'm really noticing is this line here, the Apollo line. You can see how it's barely even formed over here in this old picture. Okay, so this is the Apollo finger, the one that is our ring finger. Okay, now we have a couple of things going on here. So the line itself, pretty weak and not very well developed. Okay, this is a line of talent. And also it represents the creative urge that comes through the person. So as you can see, this line is a lot clearer. I have been developing my skills over the last 9 years, actually longer than that. And it does take some time to reflect, but it is showing up. So it's showing some consistency in my creative pathway. Okay, so that's good news. Another thing that I'm noticing, which is interesting, a lot of people don't necessarily take a look at fingertip shapes, but I definitely am noticing a difference here in Apollo. Again, when we look at the tip shape, this one is kind of pointy, whereas over here in the previous example, it's more rounded, or what we would call conic. And so Apollo represents our creative expression. It also represents how we show ourselves to the world. So how we express our individuality, how we perceive our uniqueness. Okay, so you can think of it like that. And this is actually known as the zone of individuality as well. So now this isn't a strong finger on my hand by any means. It's always been a little bit of a challenge for me to show that side of myself. But bringing in this pointiness brings in more of the spiritual idealism. Okay, it brings in more of a watery type element. Okay, so I would say over the last 9 years, this is reflecting through how I express myself. And that also makes perfect sense based upon what I'm doing in my life. I'm, a spiritual teacher. I guide people through their spiritual pathway, and I help them in various ways to get in touch with that aspect of themselves. So this is showing up right there in my Apollo finger. So as you can see, we could go on and on. Actually, there's a lot of differences in these two hands. But these are just some things that I wanted to point out, how your future can change based upon your actions. Okay, and isn't it great to know that your hands can be a tool for that? So I hope you found this interesting, and I look forward to talking to you all again soon. Have a great day.